Alright guys, welcome back to another trade recap here. Today I'll be going over this 20R long that I took this morning, and then this 7R that I took on my Lucids, and then this third entry that I was going for that I ended up getting break even from that NFP wick. So yeah, today I'll be going over all my entries that I took. So coming into the day, I was extremely bullish, right? You can see here we had this obvious, sorry, we'll go down the 1 hour. You had this obvious break of structure on Wednesday, right? And we were just absolutely pumping all week, right? We're making non-stop higher highs and higher lows on every single time frame. So you can see where the structure here is very, very bullish. And I instantly went to the 4 hour time frame, and I can see here we have this weak high up here, right? This really obvious draw on liquidity on on the left here. So that, to me, that was my target coming into the day. And on Thursday, so yesterday, we had this pullback. All right, that's all it was. A lot of you guys, entered shorts and thought we were bearish, but to me, this was just a pullback because, as we know, gold moves in three different ways, right? You have the impulse move, the correction, and then the continuation. So you can see here, if we go on the 4 hour, obviously after the move has happened, you can see we had this impulse move up, this correction, and then this was just the continuation into that high. So now if you scale down to the 15-minute time frame, you can see here we had this internal protected low, right? Because we had another break of structure here, so price is showing once again that we are bullish, and we had this internal protected low sitting down here, and you can see we had a no close plus sweep on this like mid New York time, or mid New York session, sorry, with this no close sweep. So we swept out the low with the wick, and the body closed above, showing that we are respecting that low and we are still bullish. Now coming into today, I scaled down to the 5-minute time frame, and I can see we had this internal break of structure on the 5-minute, right? So we had this high, this low, high, low, and then boom, we had a break of structure. Okay, so to me, what another sign that we are bullish. And coming into the trade, I wanted to see this low being respected, right? Because if we were truly bullish, we'd want to see the new low that we put in being respected, and then we continue up, and then we put out another new low in. So what I did was I put the fib tool from this high and this low, as we had this fake out, right? So Asia opened at 8 a.m., which was exactly here, and we had this move to the downside. Now, to me, this was a fake out. A lot of people entered shorts here and obviously ended up getting break even or taking partial wins. But to me, this was just a fake out, because the real move was SGE Open. Now, if you don't know what SGE Open is, it is the Shanghai Exchange Open, and it happens at 9 a.m. for me, which is Perth time, but it's always the second hour of Asia, okay? You'll notice, if you haven't already, if you trade Asia, the second hour candle is always extremely volatile, and that is because it is the SGE Open, and it always will make its own move, and it will always cause these fake outs before or after as well. So I highly recommend you guys collect data on SGE Open. So you can see, sorry, we'll go on the 5-minute, not the 1 minute. You can see coming into before SGE Open, we had this no close sweep here on this internal protected low, and also this one. So straight away we had that no close sweep, and we had this clear rejection back up on both of those lows, and you can see we are respecting these lows once again. Now, just before SGE opened, we came back down and tapped into the 0.786 fib range, which is the golden zone for fib, and we also had this no close sweep, right? So we swept the liquidity, but the body closed above that wick, so it only swept by the wick. And then SGE opened and we pumped. So what I did was I entered, I think it was like there, to be honest, because it was a bit of a late entry from me. But yeah, entered off that, and then obviously was targeting this week high that we had, and then ended up just closing early due to, yeah, I just couldn't take it. We were just chopping around, but yeah, ended up closing early there for 1 to 20R. So that was the first entry. Now the second entry was another 1 minute entry down here. Where was it? 12:15, I think it was. Oh, it was over here. So you can see once again, price had this massive move up. We had this break of structure, and then we put in this low here, and price came down and had a no close sweep once again on that internal protected low. So what I did was I literally just entered off of that 1 minute rejection candle, had my stop loss just below this low here in case we did want to test that out. And you can also see here on the 1 minute time frame, we had all of this swept on RSI, right? We had all the way down to here swept on RSI. Now I don't recommend using the 1 minute or the 3 minute for RSI, but when we are trending in these heavy markets, I do highly recommend using it, because if we're trending this hard, you can only really find entries on the 1 minute time frame. But yeah, that was the same target on this one, but obviously I can't hold news on the Lucid daily account, so I think I ended up getting ended up trailing out around here for around 5k. And then the third entry was yet again another 1 minute entry. You can see here we had this massive move up, right? This obvious break of structure once again. Price leaving this, was it? Yeah, it was here. Price leaving this low here, which we ended up sweeping and having a no close plus sweep. And then boom, entered off that rejection candle. Stops were around here, and I was targeting yet again that week high, which you can see price is going there right now. But obviously I ended up getting break even, which was brutal. That actually would have been 100k on the FTMO account, but that's alright. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's just really important when you're trading gold that you always start on the higher time frame, and you always try and point out these these weak spots of liquidity, right? These weak highs here, or this weak low down here, and just try and just take your time when you start actually doing your, not your journaling, sorry, when you start actually doing your review of the market coming into the day. You start on the 4 hour, and then the 1 hour, and then the 15, and then go down into the lower time frames, and just figure out your draws on liquidity before you even enter or do anything. But yeah, hopefully that helped out some of you guys, and cheers, enjoy your weekends.